Welcome back to The Edge. Bringing in Kody Malstrom today to talk some NFL draft. We're going to run you guys through a little mock draft here. Cody's going to take the odds. I'm going to take the evens. But before we get into it, Kody, how you doing, man? It's been a while since we've seen you on the YouTube. So what's going on, bro?
Yeah, it's going good, dude. It's been been since I think December since we've been back together on video. I'm super excited. I was absolutely stoked when you sent me the text about we're finally getting this running, and really happy to be here.
Fired up, man. So we are 1 week out from the NFL draft. Today's April 18th, Thursday. So about a week to go. So good time to get a little mock draft going. Let's get right into it, man. You're gonna take the odds today, so let's you get started with the first overall pick.
Yeah, probably going to be the easiest one on this whole board. Just pick Caleb Williams. We don't even need to
Yeah.
discuss it. He's minus 10,000 like at every single sports book. It's pretty much a guarantee that he's going to be going first. Much deserved. Great prospect. I mean, granted, we could probably have varying opinions when comparing to other quarterbacks of recent play, but putting his whole body of work, most pro ready, he's going to be awesome. He's going to be a huge hit for the Bears, hopefully.
Yeah, I think I saw minus 20,000 over at DraftKings earlier, so pretty much a lock. Number two, I'm going to go with Drake May here. I know you disagree on this one, so get into a little bit of conversation. The odds are moving back towards Drake this morning. He was as high as plus 270 earlier today, back down to plus 130, getting closer back to even money. All the buzz has been for Jaden at this pick, and I'm still not really buying it. To me, Drake is clear-cut better prospect, and I'm getting into some more discussion about the prospects overall, but I'll let you give your counter on this one because I know you're on Jaden here, right?
Yeah, to me, just Jaden more so fits their system. I mean, obviously, I have the absolute most love for Drake May. If this is your first time watching or first not knowing me, I'm a diehard North Carolina fan, even though I live in Michigan. But pain to football because our team stinks. But yeah, I absolutely love Drake May. I think the world of him. But for next level, I'm a little bit worried because he does have, I think, more glaring weaknesses that aren't going to translate all that well to NFL level. I call it the Patrick Mahomes method. You basically just drop everyone back. You keep two people spying the flats. It's really easy to kind of just rattle May. But I mean, he's also super young in his career. And when we talk about an absolute gunslinger, he has everything you could possibly ask for in his arm. It's just, to me, I guess when I think of more of a system fit, I do think Daniels. But to be honest, it's one or the other. I mean, to me, because I'll just go right into my next pick. I'll slot in Daniels. I've kind of two. They're both plus money. I have a top three exacta. It's Caleb, Drake, Jaden. Caleb, Jaden, Drake. I think that top three is set in stone, unless your boy makes a huge leap in the draft, which I think we'll be talking about in a few picks here. Because I mean, he's a next level talent. I love everything about JJ. I just think it's these three, and JJ just sniffs right under them as like a2 or a B tier, however you want to do tiers. But yeah, I think this top three is pretty set in stone.
Yeah, I don't want to be like the anti-Jaden guy, but I'm just, I don't love a 24-year-old quarterback who was a late breakout at the position, and I don't love his profile against pressure. I think he's too often a one read and run quarterback, and I just think long-term trajectory, like I like betting on the skill sets, the traits of Drake May and J.J. McCarthy a little bit more, but it does seem like Jaden Daniels would be off the board pretty early here. I'll get into the number 4 pick. The Cardinals are going to be getting calls to trade down here. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're in love with Marvin Harrison Jr. They desperately need a wide receiver 1 for Kyler Murray. Any disagreement on Marv here from you?
No, and one thing that I do take into account, if Matthew Berry, legendary fantasy football guy, every single year he goes to the combine and he puts out this awesome article of I think he labels it like rumors I've heard or things I've heard. I don't remember how he titles it, but every single year he hits very, very well from what he hears. And one of them that immediately stuck out to me, he said the Cardinals have already made it very clear if Marvin Harrison is still there before they pick, they're not going to trade their pick. They will draft Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, seems like that will be the case. Another team that's going to be getting some calls here at number 5 to trade down, the Chargers. What are you doing with this pick, Cody?
Yeah, so I've been mock drafting publicly for 4 years now. This is my fourth year, and at the top of when I used to write about, now I just post the drafts. But I used to break it down. I always make it very clear I absolutely hate mocking trades. Yes, trades happen, but when it turns to trying to be as most consistent as I can with mocks, I just think the best course of action is don't do trades. This year finally broke me. 4 years into doing this at a high level, and it finally broke me. I did propose a trade. I have to respect what the draft boards are saying. I want to get McCarthy under within the top 5 picks. The Vikings absolutely love him or May, and if we're taking May this early, I'm definitely going to propose a trade. I mean, they've already made it clear. They got 2 first rounders to specifically trade up for the draft for a quarterback. So I think this is the correct spot. This helps the Chargers. This helps the Vikings. Both first rounders of the Vikings for the 5th for the Chargers. And then we're going to slot in JJ McCarthy there. And you know what's funny? I like all the not pros, all like the analysts, all like the scouts, like people who have like I actually like take account into their word leading up to the draft, all love JJ McCarthy. I think the people who hate JJ McCarthy the most in terms of being like drafted this early are literally casual Michigan fans. It's all I hear living in Michigan. Like, oh, JJ's not gonna top, he's not next level talent. All he do is run. It's just it blows my mind of the things I hear about JJ. He's just an absolute winner, and he checks off everything you could possibly ask for in a quarterback. I'm very excited. Now, granted, I'm not excited he's potentially going to the Vikings because I have a little soft spot for him. Just watching Michigan football, because that means he's going to have to face my Lions twice a year, and he's going to have to lose twice a year.
Yeah, as a Michigan fan, I would love him going to the Vikings here. Just tailor-made for a quarterback to come in there and have success. With Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Kevin O'Connell's system, I think fits JJ McCarthy very well. So would love to see this happen from a Michigan fan perspective. Giants miss out on the top 4 quarterbacks here, but Malik Neighbors still on the board. Easy pick for me here. They haven't had a Pro Bowl receiver since Odell Beckham in 2016. Malik Neighbors changes that on his rookie contract. So love the fit there for Malik.
Yeah, the only one that really rivals him, in my opinion, is probably Rome Odunze, and I just don't see him reaching for that. I think you got to take Neighbors, even with all this kind of red flag BS that comes out like the last second. I think they were saying, well, he has like an attitude problem or something. I very rarely read into that stuff, but yeah, Neighbors is the top choice for that one, definitely. I mean, name the last productive receiver the Giants have had. I think they finally just got out of the Galladay contract. Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, it is OBJ, but no, Neighbors is such a explosive player, and almost 80% of his catches last season went for a first down or touchdown. He's just going to come in right away and give them such a dynamic threat that they don't have right now. Rome Odunze, I think, is being slept on just a little bit. I think he's such a good route runner, and his coordination at the catch point is such a good contested catch player. Led the country with 21 contested catches last year, so hard for me to really go wrong between these two, but just going to go with Neighbors as the favored player right now. Just pulling this up. DraftKings has odds on the second receiver drafted. Neighbors currently minus 290 to be the second receiver off the board. So we'll go there. Titans, you're up.
Yeah, this one's easy for me. Joe Alt. Just keep building that offensive line. Yeah, he's a clear cut number 1 offensive lineman. I'd be absolutely shocked if they take anyone else. Alt's one of my biggest betting positions for first lineman to go. I got him very early. I think now he's up to like minus 400, 500. I didn't even recheck because I just haven't had no interest of even potentially hedging it. I truly think Joe Alt, he's just a standalone of that position.
He's currently minus 450 on DraftKings. Titans minus 350 to take an offensive lineman. Pretty easy fit here. They did hire Brian Callahan as their new OC, or offensive line coach, rather, and I think with him coaching Joe Alt is an all-pro talent pretty early in his career, in my opinion.
This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, Falcons up now. Dallas Turner has been the most often player mocked here. Going to go off the board a little bit here, Kody. I did bet Turner with you at even money to be the first defensive player drafted, but I'm going to go with Latu here. Latu to me is the best defensive player in this draft. This film is the best of any defensive player in this class, and I just think he's so polished as a pass rusher. Way more polished, way more refined than Dallas Turner. Turner has elite athletic traits, and I definitely understand the case for betting on his upside, but Latu, man, I mean, he might be a double-digit sack player as a rookie, honestly. I wouldn't be shocked. And the Falcons are in a spot now where they're trying to win. They just signed Kirk Cousins to a big contract. Like, they're building this thing up to win and try to compete for a Super Bowl right now. So I think Latu is the better fit to come in right away and produce. And last note on Latu, the Falcons' new defensive coordinator, Jimmy Lake, was a DC at Washington when Latu had that neck injury and initially medically retired. So if there's anyone who will have confidence in Latu's medical evaluation for the NFL, it's going to be Jimmy Lake. So I think there's a little bit of breadcrumbs there. But I know you do like Dallas Turner here.
Yeah, I loved it earlier, and we crept up to, I think, like as high as minus 200, and then, yeah, it's been trickling back down. He's losing a lot of steam to go at number 8. I do think it will be Latu or Verse who would take over. That's potentially the first edge. I do think it is. I'm pretty set in stone. I think it is going to be an edge rusher. I don't think they're going to go corner. It's just like you said, though, if medically retired, my biggest red flag you can have is injury history. That's why I think the whole Michael Penix first round thing is just absolutely insane. But at the same time, you look at his last year's production, and you are right. I think Latu is probably the most pro-ready at the position. It'll be super interesting. It'll be a very interesting pick. But I think at least we do agree that it will be an edge rusher. We just don't agree on who we think it will be. One thing I think we'll both agree on the next one, though, is it's going to be Rome Odunze. And the Bears are going to silently put together one of the best groups of receivers going into next season with Caleb Williams at quarterback. I mean, what more could you ask for this rebuild for them? Offense has been a thorn in their side, and they're now pushing all their chips in to try and be a contender right away.
They're in such a great spot with this pick, man, because they're not forced into any one position here. They don't have to take an offensive lineman. They don't have to take an edge or anything like that. They can really just go best player available, and Rome is the best player available here. Putting him with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen in that wide receiver trio, man, tailor-made for Caleb Williams to be a Pro Bowl level quarterback right away. So love that fit. Looking at the Jets here, this one's tough for me. Been a lot of Brock Bowers theme here. I still see this being an offensive lineman, personally. They did bring in Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, but both guys are on the wrong side of 30. Both guys missed significant time in recent seasons. I don't feel super comfortable depending on both of them to be healthy for an entire year. And the Jets still have needs on the interior offensive line. I love Talisa Fuaga here from Oregon State. Just such a powerful offensive lineman and a really good fit for the system they want to run here. Bowers would be my second choice here. Before I lock this in, are you picking Bowers here? Is that your choice?
It's so tough for me. So I think Bowers. So I've had by the way, also, if you haven't watched a video from me before, I butcher almost every name. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. I've had
Fashanu. I mean, is a tough one, so that's why.
Not even him. I've had Fashanu, whatever. At Jets. Basically, I've had an offense lineman at Jets. This pick has changed every single mock for me. My latest one was Brock Bowers. I am buying into the steam of him going there. And also mainly just because he's like unprojectable. Like, this is like, no one needs a bona fide tight end, really, other than the Jets. Grinding the Mocks still has him at this range. But my issue for not putting Bowers here is there's really no great fit after here for a little bit. And I just don't see him dropping that down just how like much of a unicorn he is for this position. And we haven't seen in quite some time, at least going into a draft. I personally think it's Brock Bowers. But if it's not Bowers, I do agree that it is going to be an offensive lineman. They're going to keep building it. I mean, it's poor health across the board, and they need the depth because you got to protect Rodgers, who is now coming off torn Achilles. So yeah, I guess I mean, obviously it's not my pick, so I have to agree with you. But if it's not going to be Brock Bowers, I'll say it will be an offensive lineman.
Yeah, I think the Bowers one is really interesting too because his market right now in DraftKings over under 12.5, heavy juice to the under at minus 215. So you're looking at him coming off the board in one of these next 3 picks. I don't see it being to the Broncos. I think they really need help in the trenches. Chargers maybe. So curious to see if you go there, but I am going to lock in Fuaga here for the Jets. I think he's the best offensive lineman left on the board. So Fuaga here, then
locking in
you're for the Chargers.
Fashiono. And I'm not even going to try the first name. No, yeah, it's so if like I've had so originally I was gonna have or no, I had Fashion on my latest one at Chargers. Yeah, they're going offensive line, and to be honest, it's also kind of worrisome. I do think they will take the trade if the Vikings offer it, but I could honestly see them staying and also taking Joe Alt. Also, when you kind of go into taking offensive linemen, one thing that I think a lot of people don't, a lot of people I think kind of narrow focus on position playing for the position. I have when I project offensive linemen going to a team that needs an offensive line, I have them at least have to play both sides of the line, like right tackle, right guard, left guard, and then if you have positional versatility, that's even better. Uh, he's going to rival right away, I think, for a starting spot, but I think long term they're definitely going to need offensive tackle. And we're going to go Fashion.
Love it. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I think Rashawn Slater can play though on the right side. He played some right tackle at Northwestern when he was there, so they can make it work. And I just think getting two really, really strong left tackle or strong offensive tackles in the building as they're rebuilding this line in front of Justin Herbert makes plenty of sense there. Broncos up now. This is not going to be Brock Bowers for me, even though the market dictates he should be off the board by now. But looking at the Broncos first position drafted market, on DraftKings, plus 110 for quarterback. Been heavily linked to Bo Nix throughout the pre-draft process. I am absolutely not taking Bo Nix here. Plus 250 for a defensive line edge. I'm going to take Dallas Turner here. I think the Broncos are entering a multi-year rebuild at this point in time, and getting a super high upside, super young player like Turner with elite traits that clearly still has that developmental trajectory, I think it's a great fit for them here. So Dallas Turner, the Broncos, and the Raiders up at 13K.
Yeah, a quick little slide for Turner. It makes sense. If he does slide, he is going to get picked up pretty soon because I mean he's an elite talent. And it's really no fault of his own that the person that he's going to be going against, Latu, getting drafted to the Falcons, is also another elite talent. So yeah, so Turner is going to slide as kind of the market might be indicating. If it keeps moving that way, I think he will have a natural stop point very quick after 8. Going with the Raiders. Whew. Man. I had Telly set this position. We already took him. I don't really want to reach for him, but I think we got to go JC Latham.
Interesting. Okay. Sell me on JC Latham over Troy Fatenau and Amarius Mims here.
Oh, Fatenau's still there too. Shoot. Oh, man. Screw it. We'll stick with Latham. It's one of those you can't go wrong. This offensive line class is absolutely incredible.
Tremendous, yeah.
And when you look at a lot of respectable mock drafters, like there's really no consistency at the top of the board. Other than after Joe Alt, there's no consistency. So one of my big things that I do, I take a wisdom of the crowds approach. I have a list of like mock drafters who I highly respect, who are fairly accurate. And between all of them, after Joe Alt, there's no consistency whatsoever. So between Latham or Fortuna, whatever. It's just one of those you can't go wrong. It's just good more so. I mean, guess who they prefer. I personally, like I said, I had Tally Squigga here, so that's why I kind of had to scramble here. So I'm just going to be taking who I think the next best offensive tackle on the board is, and we'll go with the other Raiders here. Also, another questionable spot though. We'll see if, Broncos, Raiders have been linked to Michael Penix. I don't think it will happen, but I mean, at the same time, it's the Raiders. I could see him just screwing this up.
Yeah, this is a good spot to plug it. I had an article come out on the quarterback market here. I took under 4.5 first-round quarterbacks. Michael Penix and Bo Nix are the two names that I think we're going to see a lot of buzz for on draft night, and I think both of them are going to slide out of the first round. Kody, do you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start getting really annoying on Twitter here soon, but we're going to be getting really loud about under 4.5 quarterbacks, and that's much fading against Nix and Penix not being first-round quarterbacks. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we even got to this point. And it's nothing against them. I mean, I've been on record multiple times saying Bo Nix is one of my favorite college quarterbacks to watch. Very accurate, but I just don't think it's going to. He's also was kind of coddled into a very quarterback friendly system that just didn't really have to see him like stretch the field at all. I mean, he has a history of not success back at Auburn. against far lesser competition that was going to be facing the NFL. And then Michael Penix, it's just all red flags, medical wise. I mean, we're talking what, 4 serious injuries. Yeah, he
Forces
crushed a
and injuries.
40, but okay, you're not getting tackled in a 40. You're not getting tackled in a collapsing pocket. You have an accurate arm, but I mean, when you're drafting a quarterback in the first round, you expect longevity. I just think it's just way too risky to reach this far for Penix. And also, yeah, I mean, you can always just get him in the second. Like, draft a lot more reliable talent now than reach this early. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous. But it creates value for us bettors.
And last thing on Penix, I don't want to get too far off the rails here, but I think his accuracy has maybe been a bit overstated. He is accurate, but his ball placement isn't elite. I think you see a lot of these receivers at Washington, like Rome Odunze, Jalen Poole, Jalen McMillan, like elite wide receiver trio, and that offense asks him to throw downfield, and he has plenty of arm strength, plenty of velocity, but I don't think his ball placement is elite. And with that age, with that medical red flag, like, yeah, just not a first round prospect to me. Did want to shout out here. I did bet on the Raiders' first position drafted offensive line at plus 160. I think anything plus money is solid value there. Going to be betting a lot of these teams to take offensive linemen in the first round. Over 9.5 offensive linemen has been steamed up to minus 205 on DraftKings. Got it last week at around minus 130. So love that value there. But definitely going to see the offensive linemen fly off the board here. The Saints, another team that absolutely has to come away from this draft with an offensive lineman. You look at their Our Lads page, and basically on this roster right now, they have Ryan Ramczyk and Trevor Penning slotted in at tackle. And Penning, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh, too negative here, but I mean, he's a bust. We can be honest about that, right, Kody?
Yes.
Yeah. So I wasn't a fan of the pick when they made it, and it has not worked out well. Ryan Ramczyk also has some medical stuff going on. His longevity is definitely in question, and you have all this money tied up in Derek Carr behind an offensive line that is very concerning. Even with a handful of offensive linemen already off the board, I don't see how they don't come away with one at this spot. Going to be Troy Fatanu here for me. So
yeah,
on to
like
the
we
Colts
said,
now,
at this
Kody.
point, they're all interchangeable. Like, if Fatana went before Latham, I think the Saints would be just as happy taking J.C. Latham. They're gonna, whoever gets drafted is gonna immediately rival Penning. Like, immediately rival Penning for a starting job.
Yeah.
I just prefer Latham just because I forgot to mention this. I just prefer, an Alabama offensive line product. I just think that's just kind of like Iowa is with tight ends. Alabama is to offensive linemen just absolute monsters of men who are groomed for NFL ready play. Michigan, I think, is also kind of getting into that territory. We'll talk about that later in the draft potentially. I don't know if I'll get ballsy enough to do it, but a little spoiler: I have been looking at Zach Frazier as a potential late first rounder, but yeah, I just that's why I take the nod for Latham over Fatanu. But like we've mentioned multiple times now, this can interchange, and both teams would just be as equally as happy.
Yeah, totally agree there. All right, let's go on to the Colts at 15.
Yeah, so you kind of threw a curveball at me with the Broncos with the whole Turner thing. So because this guy's, I would be an immediate bump down because of it, but I'm gonna go Quinton Mitchell. It took me a while to admit that he is the top corner in this class, but the markets he's taken steam to be the first corner taken, and the Colts absolutely need corner production. And if I'm gonna also taking his position draft bet at 15.5 into consideration, it's pegging him to be at least Colts or under. So yeah, we'll go Quinton Mitchell here. Had an absolutely fantastic combine. I think that separated it.
Plus 110 to draft the corner on DraftKings. Yeah, like you said, elite combine tester. His tape is awesome, man. A lot of fun to watch. You don't think Bowers might be the pick here, though? Still on the board?
It's so tough. I think I had Bowers in my third version. No, one of my first versions of the mock I did, but no, I gotta stick with Mitchell here. I've had corners in the past 3 versions of my mock. I'm just gonna go with consistency here.
Fair enough. All right, on to Seattle now, and this is a team that has been linked heavily to Troy Fountain now. They hired their new offense coordinator, Ryan Grubb, was a former Washington offense coordinator, so easy fit there. But given the run of offensive linemen already off the board here, I think we're going to go in a slightly different direction. Looking at the odds on DraftKings, they are minus 150 to take an offensive lineman, plus 140 to take a defensive lineman. And I'm going to go with the defensive lineman here. I'm going to go with Byron Murphy in this spot, who has been getting a lot of steam, a lot of love in the draft markets. Danny Jeremiah even went as far as to say he could be a sneaky top 10 consideration. I don't see that happening, but I do think he'll be off the board fairly early. And I love the fit for Mike McDonald's defense as that really penetrating 3 technique defensive lineman here. Really good fit. And you see what he did with Justin Madubuike in Baltimore last season. I think a similar skill set here with Byron Murphy out of Texas. Kody, any Byron Murphy thoughts from you?
This would be my absolute nightmare situation because one of my favorite bets that's still currently available is Byron Murphy over 16.5. So if he goes at 16, I will be so upset. But you know, I mean, you're not going to win all your bets. But yeah, I personally think Byron Murphy is going to go within the next few picks. But if Seattle goes that route, then whatever, more power to him.
Yeah, it could be Jared Verse here too, still on the board.
It would be cool if it was.
I really like the fit. Yeah, I like the fit with Murphy here. All right, on to the Jaguars at 17. Your pick.
I'm gonna go Terry and Arnold. Well, I'll go 2 corners, 2 in a row for my picks here. Yeah, if you asked me a week ago, I still had Arnold over Mitchell. Maybe a little big school bias. We all know my thoughts on small schools, but no, I've seen enough Mitchell tape where I can comfortably say now that Mitchell is the deserving number 1 corner. But I don't think the gap is as big as people think. Yeah, Arnold had a disappointing combine, but if you still kind of look at his pedigree and everything he's put together as well, his time in Alabama, he's still a phenomenal product. The Jags, they need corner help, they need coverage help, graded pretty poorly. So yeah, we're gonna go Tyrion Arnold here.
Yeah, love it. Arnold would be the next corner off the board according to the draft markets. On to the Bengals here, and man, I don't think they're expecting Brock Bowers to be here. I think he'd definitely be in consideration, but I think his slide's going to continue, man, because
really
the Bengals need an offensive tackle, and Amarius Mims is staring me in the face here. And I think his profile, 6'7", 340-pound offensive tackle, elite movement skills, doesn't have the experience at this point in his career with all the starts, but I think the long-term trajectory is phenomenal for Mims here. Sell me on Bowers, though, because it sounds like that's who you think they should take here.
I just think at some point you got to take the positional value over of his EDP, but at the same time, I mean, the NFL, you can never really count on them to kind of get with the times here. But it's just more so, do you ask yourself, do you keep kind of trying to surround Burrow with talent, really capitalize on the now, especially it's kind of leaning towards, I'm assuming Higgins is going to be back. Do you take Bowers now because you're kind of maybe there's still a chance for Higgins to leave? You just kind of want to try and minimize the loss of production with Higgins leaving. It's a tough one. But at the same time, you were saying Marius Mims, you want to go offensive tackle. You could go that route as well because you got to protect him. I mean, he's getting more fragile than ever. It's just one of those, I guess.
That's my main thing. Is like I don't know if you can trust Trent Brown to hold up for an entire season at tackle at this point in his career. And Burrow coming off of yet another season-ending injury, like I think they're going to be getting pretty antsy to add to this offensive line and try to protect him here. So I think Bowers would be so fun in this offense, but going to go with Mims here, and I think Bowers is going to keep sliding. So Rams up. Your pick, Kody.
Well, Bowers ain't going to the Rams. That's wow. Man, at some point we got to place him somewhere.
I mean, why not the Rams?
See, this is where I really liked Byron Murphy to go here. I mean, it screams a Byron Murphy spot because of obviously with Donald retiring. I almost want to go edge. At some point, we kind of get Jared Verse here because, I mean, his projected is around 14.5, and I like to play around with EDP and draft markets. Johnny Newton would be a kind of a reach, but he's also kind of picking up steam too. I personally like him kind of somewhere a little more down the board. But let's go Jared Verse. I think we're going to see the Rams. Yeah, he's obviously not going to be filling in the production of Aaron Donald in the middle, but I think we're still going to be seeing an emphasis of dominant defensive line play by adding more depth at the edge position.
Yeah, I think it's a strong pick. Really high floor for Jared Verse here, and just a player who I think fits really well with their defense and Kobe Turner coming back after his rookie season too.
He's
All right,
he's
this
steadily
one.
climbed up every single mock I've done. Like I've had him as the first one I had him in was very late first. Now my latest one I had him at 14 to the Saints.
All right, I'm gonna take Brock Bowers here. Um, don't know that many mock drafts are gonna end up with Bowers going to the Steelers, but I like the fit if he's here. They really need wide receiver help, and I mean Bowers isn't a wide receiver, but he can play some slot receiver for them. And currently, their wide receiver depth chart has George Pickens, Van Jefferson, and Quez Watkins as their 3 starters. So it's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. I think with the style of offense, they're probably going to try to run with Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith. I think Bowers would be a strong fit there. What do you think about Bowers here, Cody?
I think it would be a good landing spot, especially if he's going to fall like this, and the Steelers have shown an aggressiveness of taking the best talent on the board. It would be Bowers at this point.
They do have Freiermuth under contract.
And Darnell Washington.
They did draft Darnell Washington. It's true.
But he's yet to really carve out his role. He's yet to do it. He's been a disappointing product so far.
Yeah. I mean, more of a blocking tight end anyway. It's not expected to be a dynamic receiving threat. Freiermuth also only under contract for 1 more season. So pretty easy to get out of his contract after this year. So yeah, let's go Bowers here.
And it would kind of allow them to still stay with a kind of a 2 tight end identity, help out the ground game that they just absolutely refuse to abandon, even though that hasn't worked since the 1980s. But yeah, so more tight end talent, the better for them.
Yeah, they're going to run some fun jumbo packages with Broderick Jones, Darnell Washington, and Bowers on the field, all 3 Georgia guys. So
that'd be fun.
Fit there.
Yeah, a whole Georgia 2 tight end set there. Yeah, this one's really easy for me, especially with kind of now we're at that gap of offensive line play. This one's going to be Johnny Newton. The Dolphins are absolutely hurting for a defensive tackle now with Christian Wilkins leaving in free agency. I absolutely love the idea of Newton going here. So to me, it goes Amarius Mims, and then we kind of see a gap in offensive line. Like we'd go to the next tier. So to me, I think Johnny Newton would be the most logical sense here for the Dolphins for their needs.
I was trying to pull up. DraftKings doesn't have a positional marker for Johnny Newton. His market's been really interesting because
they did, and they pulled it right away. They said they put him at 32.5, and I absolutely smashed the under.
There you go. Yeah, he's been dipping. Minus 280 to go in the first round right now.
I'd bet that.
So yeah, I like the fit here. Definitely need some defensive line help. Need some offensive line help as well. I think Graham Barton might be interesting here, but we'll go with Johnny Newton, a player I absolutely love this film. So I like that. On to the Eagles here. Brian Thomas, by the way, is still on the board. I don't think the Eagles would necessarily take him, but interesting one there.
I promise you, if you're not picking him now, I'm picking him next.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cooper DeJean here for the Eagles. I think they definitely need to get younger in the secondary, and DeJean is somebody who you can play. You can play in the box, you can play free safety, you can play boundary corner, slot corner, really everywhere for your defense. And I think you could see Vic Fangio use him very similarly to what he did with Jalen Ramsey on the Dolphins last season, just as a Swiss Army knife all over this defense. Love DeJean as a prospect. Great fit here for the Eagles. So, Chargers up with their second pick.
Yeah, Brian Thomas. I already said he was going to be my next pick. So, it is interesting that they have just outright announced that they want to build up the run. They want to go run heavy like we saw under Harbaugh with Michigan. But I don't care who you are. You need receiver talent to at least threaten the defense and not allow them to have an opposing stack box. Right now, the Chargers are going into the season with Quentin Johnson as their number 1 receiver. Yeah, he was an awesome talent at TCU. He has not translated so well to the pro yet, and he's shown no signs of being your go-to number 1. You got to add more talent to it. And this is a luxury pick for them for accepting the trade with the Vikings. They can get another good receiver talent this late in the draft.
Yeah, love it. Getting out of the first round with Olu Fashanu and Brian Thomas would be excellent for the Chargers. So, like that fit there. I'm gonna go with somebody who I don't know where you're at with this player, Cody, and maybe a little bit off the board here. See how far down this guy is on this list. I'm gonna go with Edgerrin Cooper here.
Wow.
So.
You're selling me on this one. I'm not agreeing.
I'm not locking in it. I'm gonna sell you on it. Cowboys' current odds, -175 for an offensive lineman. So could easily see this being Graham Barton or
Jackson Powers.
Jackson Myers Johnson, Tyler Guyton. Yeah, so one of those guys. But Edgerrin James, to me, I think is going to be really strongly considered here. Worth noting, they had a 30 visit with him, and they really need a linebacker. They had Leighton Vander Esch medically retire, relied on, his name is escaping me, but the undrafted rookie free agent last year, who played pretty well for them in some spot starts, but they really need a guy who can be that will linebacker for the middle of their defense. Allow Michael Parsons to be the roaming defensive, just wreck house in all the different ways that he does. They need somebody who can fill in that role. And Edgerrin James is a player who I think has been rising in pre-draft discussions, currently seeing his odds be a first-round pick at plus 220. So moving up for sure here. Slightly off the board here, but a player who I would not be shocked to see come off the board here. What are your thoughts, Cody?
I mean, you got to be bold. We've seen crazier things late in the draft, and Cowboys definitely be one of them that would do that. I'm not going to sign off on it, but I'm at the mercy of odds pick only.
Who would be your pick here?
I would definitely go interior lineman. I'd go Graham Barton or Jackson Powers Johnson. But don't let me deter you. It's like I said, it's your pick, and I absolutely love a bold late pick because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean we're just mock drafting. One trade earlier just screws up everything, and then screw it. Let's go, James. Dare to be different. I think Red Bull said that, even though we're not a Red Bull YouTube. Sorry, Celsius.
All right, we're taking Edgerrin Cooper, and yeah, I'm put my flag on that one. Really, I like him a lot more as a prospect than I thought I was going to. Originally, I was expecting to have Peyton Wilson as LB1 in this class, but Cooper is so rangy, such a good athlete, and so diverse in his skill set with coverage, with blitzing, with sideline to sideline tackling. Like, really strong fit for what they want to do defensively, I think, in Dallas. So
I do agree with you that the Cowboys' best course of action, maybe not like obviously with the first pick, maybe we'll see them get aggressive in the second round and go for Cooper, but the best course of action for their defense would be getting a wrecking linebacker. They've always had one that's just been their identity, and that would be a positional need for them.
Yeah, losing Leighton Vander Esch is a big deal for their defense too. So, all right, Cody, you're up for the Packers, a team that I know you care so deeply about.
Yeah, whatever. We're gonna go Nate Wiggins. To me, Nate Wiggins and Cooper are honestly interchangeable at this point. I think Cooper, or John Cooper, I should say, or Cooper. Oh my God,
Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean. I think he has leaped over Wiggins. Wiggins to me was above him, honestly, all the way up into this week, and now he's kind of losing steam. Mainly because DeJean is getting cleared. He's showing that he'll be able to play like right away, like he'll be good to go. But I don't think that's going to deter the Packers from just taking the other, because they're going to need cornerback help, really bolster up their secondary. And they could have a sneaky great secondary if Wiggins, or even if it's DeJean, like produce right away. I think they're literally just kind of like one piece away from having a solidified secondary, and that has been an issue for them in the past. Really, just defense has been an issue for them for years now. And I think, yeah, they don't like to go the defensive route, but I think they will attack defense this time around, especially now that they kind of have some certainty on offense.
Yeah, I like it. I did bet a little bit on the Packers to take an offensive lineman at plus, or at -125 actually. So that'd be the route I'd be going here, but I do think that they need corner as well, so I could see this happening for sure. Next pick for me is going to be Chop Robinson. Pretty easy one here. His market is at 26.5 with -220 juice to the under. Not a polished prospect, and the sack production isn't there in his production profile, but I mean, you can't teach his athleticism. I believe he broke the record for the 40-yard dash for his size. I don't quote me on that, but elite athlete. You can see it every time you turn on the film to watch him, and I think his upside is tremendous. Bucks definitely need pass rush help. That's one of the biggest areas of deterioration on their roster. Lost Jack Barrett this offseason, so love Chop Robinson's fit here. Moving on to the Cardinals.
I absolutely loved how this has actually fallen for me now, because granted, I haven't figured out this puzzle on my own personal mock yet, but the way this one's going, I think I can finally get this guy in the first round. I've been trying so hard to get him up there. We're gonna go Darius Robinson.
All
Cardinals,
right.
they're definitely going to be attacking defensive line, and with you taking Chop of the pick before, I think Robinson's by far the next uh, uh, edge to go here. And really, no team under maybe the Lions, but I kind of want to get greedy here when if we get to the Lions because I think I know how you're going to go with the Bills. And then after Lions, I just don't see either of the teams going edge, and I've been trying to get Robinson in the first round of my mocks here, and the Cardinals I think would be the last stop point here.
Yeah, this next one's easy for me. It's Adonai Mitchell. If he's on the board here, I don't see how the Bills don't take him. They really, really need a receiver, and his production profile is not there. If you look at any of the advanced metrics on receivers in this class, like you're not going to come away impressed with Adonai Mitchell. But I think his physical tools are really high level, and I think the upside's there. And you pair him with somebody like Josh Allen, and could see him being productive right away in this offense. So Adonai Mitchell here, and you're up with your Lions, Kody.
You know, it's funny. I actually was very much certain I was going to take Kool-Aid McKinstry here. We're going to go Graham Barton.
Yeah.
So if it's not going to be corner, and if and I guess I'll even say, even if Darius Robinson goes to, or maybe if he's still available, to me right now, I think it's going to go edge, corner, interior offensive line. The only thing that kind of holds me off on corner is, and honestly, you can't put any stock into what he says because he is a absolute wild card so far the past few years. But Brad Holmes has outright said in an interview, corner is not a need. We attacked it in free agency. I could still see us attacking corner maybe round 2 or 3, or maybe we even do take Kool-Aid. I'd still be okay with that, just because we will need the depth. We got short-term contracts all around, and obviously injury concerns. But if Graham Barton's falling this down, or even in Jackson Powers, I wouldn't be surprised. Absolute versatility between guards and at center. We've had injury concerns there as well, and the loss of production is massive if we lose a starter. I think we might kind of start going a depth piece here. This is the way the draft is falling.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Barton's still here. His over-under is 21.5, and just the way this went, we went with some more edges, some more corners. Got a linebacker pick in there, but I don't see him falling this far in the draft personally, but it would definitely be a great pick for the Lions if he's there. Let's get another offensive lineman off the board here. Gonna go with Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. One of my favorite players in this class. Such a good athlete, and I think his film is better than people give him credit for. Better production, elite upside, and a great fit for what Baltimore wants to do there. So love that selection there. Kody, back to 31 for the Niners.
Yeah, we're going to go, I guess, 2 centers in a row. We're going to go 2 centers in a row for me. Jackson Powers Johnson. You might think it's kind of crazy, or the casual fan might think it's kind of crazy because they're like the offensive line for the 49ers is always one of their strengths. Their interior offensive line was absolutely horrible. They graded out so poorly, and getting a versatile interior lineman like this who can also play at guard gives them a much needed boost in production of what they need to kind of go back to how they want to play. And which, I mean, we'll see the same thing, but yeah, obviously just with more productive interior presence now. If he falls here, I mean, I think his draft position now is 31.5. It was 32.5, and then dropped to a quick point. I hit the under. I could see this being a landing spot for him.
Yeah, it would be a great fit. Definitely need help on the interior offensive line. The Trent and Scrubs method that they've been running with this offensive line is not going to be sustainable. I mean, there's a lot of reasons they lost the Super Bowl, right? But to me, the right side of that offensive line is the biggest reason, and getting Powers Johnson in there, whether he plays center or guard, would be enormous for this line. So, round out the mock draft, Kody, we got the Chiefs. Current odds on DraftKings have them at -110 to draft a receiver. Everybody's picking Xavier Worthy here. I'm not sold. I want to get your thoughts on Xavier Worthy being a first-round pick.
Fast. That's the only reason why. I mean, we've seen teams numerous times before grossly reach up for a receiver just because they had an absolutely fantastic combine. I personally think we're going to see them go offensive line instead, maybe a Jordan Morgan. But if you're kind of dead set on a receiver here, you can make a case for honestly Lad McConkey over him. I'm just not sold on anyone who's just like very fast. But at the same time, I just haven't
Yeah.
been looking at Chiefs receiver these past few mocks. I've been looking at offensive line.
Yeah, I've been leaning offensive line for them as well. Gonna go with Kody McKinstry here, though. I think if he's still there for them at 32, gonna be hard for them to pass him up after losing L'Jarius Sneed this offseason. Definitely still looking to add some youth to that defensive backfield. Receiver in need, especially depending on the Rashee Rice situation, but I hit under 6.5 first round wide receivers largely because this class, man, is so deep. There's so much talent in this group. To me, like, why would you draft Xavier Worthy at 32 when you can get Ladd McConkey, Ricky Pearsall, Jermaine Burton from Alabama? Like, this class is so deep. So I don't see them forcing a pick a wide receiver here. I think Kool-Aid is the best player available here, so I'm going to go with him.
That's interesting. I haven't thought a corner for that position, but I also really haven't had Kool-Aid fall that far. But I mean, if he were to fall, I could see Chiefs taking him.
Yeah, especially after losing
Sneed,
right?
Which has weirdly been one of the most quiet off-season moves like this year. I don't get it.
Yeah, I did play some Chiefs first position offensive line and a little bit of corner as well right after that Sneed trade. But yeah, could see them going a different position in receiver given the depth in the class. Kody, any takeaways from this mock? Any picks you want to talk about before we get out of here?
Honestly, I don't have really too many. I got squint here. I mean, obviously, I think the big one that we are just dead wrong on is going to be Brock Bowers. That slide would be incredible. But at the same time, I mean, we talked about kind of the lack of major tight end need. So I guess it's going to come down to how much you just really put positional value in that one. I'm not really there yet to say Latu's going to hop Turner, but I am a lot closer as we get closer to the draft of saying it won't be Turner anymore. Then it's going to become either Latu or Verse. If I had to choose between the two, I think I'm personally going to lean Verse. I'm just a big medical red flag kind of guy. It throws me off. The offensive linemen early on, like I said, they're all interchangeable. I would really hate Murphy to go 16. That would absolutely kill me. I don't really disagree with anyone else other than really the Cowboys. But I mean, like I said, at some point you got to be a little bold with these late first rounders. And you made a very good point where he fits their defensive identity. Everyone else, I think, honestly, we kind of really crushed it positional wise.
Yeah, the one that I don't love that we did is we only got 9 offensive linemen in this first round, and I bet over 9.5 offensive linemen. I do think we get 10 plus. I think Jordan Morgan is probably a first round pick, and then I think Kingsley Suamataia is definitely a potential first rounder. Could see the Chiefs going there at tackle, but overall, yeah, 1 week out from the draft. Kody, any bets that you have taken recently you want to shout out here before we get out of here?
Let me see. Recent bets, they would still have to be available. And by the way, so when I say these bets, obviously, I'm saying this to the public watching here. Just the NFL draft, just because, especially the draft more than ever, you got to be comfortable taking juice bets. It's only juice if it loses. Try and keep that saying in mind. And it's going to create absolutely volatile swings. It's a very sensitive, soft market. I mean, you could have some moron at ESPN say something way off, and it could actually drastically change it just because so many people put stock into that kind of thing. My most recent 2, I did Quinton Mitchell draft position under 15.5. I would be absolutely shocked if he does not go to what I think the stop point would be the Colts. I have him to the Broncos in my latest one. And even if they go Bo Nix, or they go a quarterback, I'd still would be shocked if, as the projected first corner to go, would pass the Colts, who are a very corner needy team. And then there's also been kind of smoke of Falcons even going corner, which I think that would kind of surprise me. I think they're going to be set at defensive line, but if they take an Arnold, or if Broncos take an Arnold, I think there will be 2 corners before or at the Colts pick. And then I took total receivers first round under 6.5. It was minus 225. Yes, it's juice, but I will absolutely drink the juice. No issue. There is a lot of receiver talent, but it's more so I think there's going to be a big drop off after Brian Thomas, even after maybe A.D. Mitchell, and we're going to see kind of more teams be okay with the thought of, okay, we can kind of recoup some of this lost production in the second round. I honestly would be shocked if we got 6 receivers. We talked about Johnny Newton under 32.5. I think he's already crept up to like minus 300. You said earlier, minus 250 just to be a first rounder, which is essentially the same.
Some minus 280, I believe. Yeah.
Honestly, I would still take that. And then those are my last 3 picks that I took. I think late last night. Oh, then I did
Nice.
some
Yeah.
positionals. I took Packers corner first draft position plus 275. I did a little bet on that, and then I did the Raiders offensive line plus 160 half unit there, and then I did Colts draft position corner plus 125 half unit there.
Yeah. On the wide receiver front, I did bet 6.5 under 6.5 as well. I grabbed it at minus 170 a couple weeks ago. I'm totally fine with laying the juice there. I think we're gonna see 5 or fewer. Or I think we're gonna see exactly 5. Probably not fewer than 5, but I don't see more than 6 receivers at least going in this class. Just it's such a deep group of talent, and I think you're going to be able to get day 2 guys who are very comparable to what you'd be picking at the back end of the first round. Kody, one last question before we get out of here. Lions, what's your dream scenario for their first pick?
For a first pick, don't screw it up. It's tough because, like I said, we attacked corner free agency, so it's kind of that like before free agency, I was like dead set corner no matter what, like no matter what corner. So that polish is kind of worn off. Honestly, I'd be very happy just with one of the 3 positions I mentioned earlier: edge, corner, interior, offensive line. Edge or corner would make me really happy, and then interior offensive line is the 3rd option.
Yeah, and I'll say for the Broncos, just not Bo Nix, and I'll be fine. I don't care who it is, just not Bo Nix. So, that's
I forgot to shout this out when we were talking. Best bet, like absolute favorite bet that's still like currently available, and it's Mom. If you're listening, I'm so sorry for how much money I put on this. Don't hate me. Michael Penix over 32.5. He's not going first round.
Yeah,
I minus 135 when I grabbed it. I think he's still like around minus 140. I absolutely smashed it.
he is. Let's see. On DraftKings, currently under 32.5 is minus 145. Over is plus 150. So
the over,
love the plus money there.
The over's plus money now.
Yeah. Cody's got to make some calls.
We're putting
that'll do it.
We're putting
us.
more money on it.
That'll do it for us. Hope you guys enjoyed this mock draft, learned some stuff. Hopefully you get some bets out of this and make a little money on the draft. Stay tuned for some more NFL draft content, hopefully on this channel and elsewhere. Go follow Kody on Twitter. Kody, your Twitter is at Kody Malstrom.
Yep, at the letter K for my first name, and then my last name spelled out Malstrom. Picture of me drinking.
Sweet. Cody's locking in some draft bets. Cody's locking in some draft bets over there, so go check him out. Going to be a lot of content ramping up to the big day, and fired up to have you guys with us. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you on the next video.